football and we have takes. Welcome to Football Takes. Football! Yeah! Football!
All right. It's day one of the NFL offseason after Sam Darnold, slinging Sam Darnold, won the Super Bowl, becoming the first quarterback in that crazy draft class to win a Super Bowl. Curious what the odds would have been on that like 3 years ago. Before we jump in with our post-Super Bowl football takes here, this episode presented in part, and Thor's entire weekend presented in part by Dickey's Barbecue Pit in Eagan. So the folks at Dickey's Barbecue catered a little work luncheon for us, Thor, Judd, Dax, me, and then our team at Hubbard and Score North. And on the way out, Thor and I were walking out, and Tom says, "Hey, I've got this extra thing of ribs. Does anyone want this?"
This is 100% a true story. The audience is going to think this is 100% exactly how this happened.
So Thor, you spent the entire weekend just crushing Dickey. Was it just ribs or was it a bunch of stuff? What was in there?
A huge tub of ribs. So like right when I got home, I had more ribs. Then the girlfriend
after the lunch.
Yes, that was the first time I got into that thing. Then that night, the girlfriend came over. It's like, "Hey, want some ribs for dinner?" "Yeah, of course I do." And then all the way up until Super Bowl Sunday, I saved just 12, 15 ribs so I could bring that to the Super Bowl party. Be like, I brought ribs from Dickey's. So it was great. Thank you to Tom. Appreciate you.
866 barbecue, by the way, or Dickies.com.
Outstanding.
Cater for any size group, and they deliver right to your door.
Football.
I won the Super Bowl party.
They want if you ranked all the things, commercials low on Thor's list, Dickey's high.
Did you try to eat the ribs while driving home? That's the real question.
No.
One hand on the wheel. One hand on the rib.
No, those Dickey's ribs, there's a lot of meat on that bone. You got to have the two. You can't be doing the one hand. It's heavy duty, when you get in there.
Arm's going to get tired otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
Two arms of support.
Yeah.
That's right.
Football.
Judd, why don't you sling the first
All
take
right.
here?
Okay, a Super Bowl related take off of the telecast on NBC last night. Sort of a two-pronged take. The first part of the take is Mike Tirico called his first Super Bowl on Sunday. I hope he calls 10 more. He's phenomenal. He to me is one of the best big game guys out there. The second part of the take though was Chris Collinsworth, his obvious absolute disgust with the Patriots was one of the funniest things, a thread to run through a Super Bowl telecast that I can recall, because Chris Collinsworth could not hide it. He at times sort of attempted to, but when Drake May screwed him by he said, "Hey, Drake May, you know what? Fourth quarter is starting to improve. He's starting to read the defense." And the next pass was a pick. And I believe Collinsworth's words were, "I got nothing for you."
I got nothing for you.
Here's a guy.
It was absolutely outstanding. So bravo to Tirico and Chris Collinsworth. Your inability to hide your absolute disdain for what the Patriots did on Sunday was among the most humorous things I've heard in a Super Bowl.
Collinsworth at first was trying to give the left side of the Patriots offensive line too. It's like a couple of young guys, they're just trying to get there, settled in. It's a big game, Super Bowl. And then when he realized they weren't just getting settled in, they were historically getting beat play after play after play. He's like, who's it? Will Campbell's their left tackle.
Yes.
Will Campbell he's not going to be able to stop much of anything tonight. So you got to factor that into the play calling.
What was the line? "I've got to say what I think." Like he was so flustered by how bad this was at one point. He's like, "I just got to say what I think, Mike."
Will Campbell had a tough night. And I'm sorry, but last spring, all spring, I was like, this guy's not a tackle. You don't have people like guys that tackles with arms this short. That he would be beyond a historical anomaly to play left tackle with that arm size. And I kind of got shouted down there, and then they played him at left tackle all year. You see in a big spot, and guys that have physical trump cards, the kind of thing that can happen there. Will Campbell, he's going to be he's going to be what I thought he was, which is going to be a really, really good NFL guard. I think you might have to make that move next year. That's a position he should be playing. And then as far as the rest of the take, love Mike Tirico. Totally agree with that. Mike Tirico is like It's remember Pat Summerall back in the day, but like more like in the middle of his career, like just sort of that like authority. He doesn't overstay his welcome with the comments, knows to kick it, but he sets the table really well. Mike Tirico sort of taken over that. I agree. He's a really good big play guy. And then I just kind of get a kick out of Collinsworth. I know there's people that get annoyed with Collinsworth now, with some of the shtick stuff, but I do kind of get a kick out of him.
I feel like he was like full Collinsworth last night.
Yeah.
There was a couple times where he would
was.
do he's just sneaking through the pile there. Yeah, he said even he kind of did a little slide in there at the beginning too to start the broadcast, kind of inching his way over. He was, and I also NBC. I don't know if I love their like pre and post panels all the time, but they nail big production. And think about what they have going on right now with the Olympics, and they've got basketball back, right? The NBA, and they're promoting. They did the Major League Baseball promotion with like Aaron Judge hitting a ball at Yankee Stadium. NBC, I think, has become the best big game event network now, and I don't know that it's even close. I don't know if you guys saw this morning. So ESPN's Get Up this morning was live from the old NFL studios because ESPN has now absorbed NFL Network, basically, or a lot of their properties. And so Mike Greenberg and the fellas were a mile down the street from SoFi announcing, we're not even going to talk about last night's Super Bowl yet. The next Super Bowl is here in LA, and it's on ESPN ABC, and we are starting that countdown now on the Monday after the Super Bowl. But yeah, NBC leader in the clubhouse for big events, I think, hands down.
They're pretty good. Pretty good.
Hey, so question off of that is NFL Network now out as like a pregame place? Because at the end of the show on Sunday, they basically said their goodbyes or something.
Mm-hmm.
So like, are they not going to? Is the offshoot not going to produce pregame shows on their network, or what becomes of that whole thing? Do we even know?
I don't think so, because ESPN, like that show itself, is like going away. I think.
It
Right?
seemed
'Cause,
like it, yeah.
because with the ESPN merger, so I think that show's over. But yeah, I don't know if like they're still going to do like their own independent type of pregame and whatnot.
Probably not.
So like, does Rich Eisen? What is he? Does he not do a pregame show now for the first time in 20 years?
Well, that's what I'm.
Or does Greeny
curious
finally come
about.
off something? Because like every time they launch something new on ESPN,
Greeny.
it's like Greeny's like their innings workhorse for any big thing.
Hey, I don't want to be a jerk about this, but I sent Phil a text about it last night, and I will ask the question. So the game gets done last night, and I flipped from NBC to ESPN to watch their post game, and Chris Berman is hosting it with Alex Smith, who I like, and Booger McFarland. But Chris Berman's like buried on their highlight show that they stream or put on, like
ESPN Plus.
Yeah, how does this happen where he is the main guy, and it's like after Super Bowls? But all due respect, dude has been around forever, but he has not been in like a post-game role up front for them for a long time. I was just sort of confused about why he was the guy and not like their ordinary panel.
I don't understand where Chris. I get the thing of when NBC they first acquired the rights for the Sunday Night Football, and then they also acquired in that I believe the rights to play the highlights of the Sunday games first, and I think that's the thing that ultimately killed NFL primetime as we knew it on ESPN, right? And then that's when they started delaying it on the streaming thing.
That's right.
I sort of get that. What I don't get is the progression of Chris Berman's career since then. Like, it was sort of like, oh, he's going into retirement or soft retirement, and then they bring him back at the most random times. No one was a bigger NFL primetime guy than Thor. I don't think I missed, like, for 15 years. I don't think I missed one episode. Like, if they were calling me up for dinner, and I'm like 12 years old, it's like prime time's on. I told you this last week and the week before, right? So I'm going to watch. But I have never watched one episode of the new one because I don't, like, now I'm a boomer. I don't know how to find that stuff on, whatever. Like, and then when they put them out on stuff, I don't really get that either. You could definitely use Chris Berman more. So I don't understand, like, the way that they use him or the way that he wants to be used.
They also had their staff they dispersed in different parts. Like, the only person that would have made sense there is probably Scott Van Pelt. They might have data too that says, hey, it's not even the audience doesn't like migrate to ESPN after a big event on NBC. So, let's give Chris Berman a couple little spots to shine in his retirement contract. But So I have more of a football centric take, maybe more of a philosophical take off of watching the entire road to the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold hoisting that trophy and getting his flowers and completing this incredible career turnaround. And my take is, with Sam Darnold winning the Super Bowl, we should question everything about the NFL's relationship with quarterbacks. Everything from, like, when you hear that a quarterback is a bust before the age of 30, question it. When you hear that you should automatically pay the next quarterback who's up for a contract $50 to $60 million top of the market, you should question that. I've come to the conclusion that 98% of people inside and certainly outside the NFL have no idea which quarterbacks are going to pop or not, or when, or why, or how. Everyone, for the most part, except for 2%, are just licking their finger and sticking it in the wind. Like, this guy's a bust. Everyone just, this group thinks Sam Darnold is a bust. Well, he wasn't a bust when the entire market thought he was a top 3 overall pick back like 8 years ago. Can we dig a little deeper than that and decide why guys are busts? Were they given untenable infrastructure? Did they just maybe need a minute to figure out how to play the hardest position in all of sports? I mean, even like the guys we label now as, well, that guy's a bust, or that guy's headed to be a bust. I'm now looking at those guys and saying, maybe if you get, I mean, certainly like J.J. McCarthy, as we talk about on all of our Vikings podcasts, Mac Jones, Kyler Murray, those guys are failed first-round picks. Are they? What if they just needed a minute or some decent infrastructure and some patience? Like, I'm even looking at Zach Wilson and wondering, and people laugh at that still, like, Zach Wilson? People laughed at Darnold. People laughed at Geno Smith even, and he resurrected his career. So I guess my take within a take is, this is the most skeptical I have ever been about the NFL's relationship internally and the external infrastructure with quarterbacks.
I think that's fair, but I also wonder, when we have this discussion, why the context of the situations is never brought up. Sam Darnold played with the number 1 DVOA defense in the NFL this year. They had the number 2 special teams, the Seahawks did, in the NFL. They had a top 7 or so rushing offense. And by any measure, they have one of the NFL's best coaching staffs and front offices. That's going to elevate a quarterback. I mean, like, with your example, what the same metrics when he played for the Jets, where was that? Where would that have been? So I think, like, the circumstances around it, and this goes to the whole point of the thing of, like, these terrible organizations where the mistakes have been made for years and years, and then it's always the thing that they sell to their fan base is, oh, we just took a top 10 quarterback, so he's the one who's going to, not only save the day, but is also going to make up for all the personnel mistakes and all the organizational mistakes that we've made going back years. That is the thing that clearly doesn't work. And then on the other side of it, when that guy's in a much better situation and then he's better, like in life, when we're in a horrible situation and we're probably not going to quit ourselves as well as when it's the best situation, like we're having the best day, everything's going right, everything's breaking right for us on a specific day. Do you think you might have quit yourself better than when everything is going wrong? You had to wake up at 3 a.m., you had to be to the airport, your first flight gets canceled, someone's yelling at you, like everything's going wrong, and you're not going to acquit yourself as well. So I think the circumstances as well, we have to talk about that. But Phil, to your point, yeah, like the thing of burying the guy before he's gotten an opportunity to be in an advantageous situation, this is an example of how that's a fallacy.
I love that, and it is so true. And look, I mean, Darnold started off with the Jets. The Jets didn't know which way was up, much less tell a kid, and it takes time, and this is, I think, part of the case for patience with J.J. McCarthy. It takes time to learn. Like you need to become a pro. Guys don't step in, except for a very rare examples. Most quarterbacks coming out of college, I mean, if they're drafted high, they were great, but they haven't reached their potential yet. And someone has to help you get there. You need to, and I think this is true of McCarthy, mature. But I've got the guy for you next year. I got the fly in the ointment guy again, who very well, Phil, could prove your point right. So this year it went from Jaden Daniels, right? unbelievable first year in Washington. Then he gets hurt. The team's not as good. It's essentially a lost season. I give you Exhibit B. What about Drake May? Drake May did not have a great playoff run. He was brutal. And I mean, we could say, well, he didn't get blocked. I mean, there's always excuses, right? You can play both sides of the fence. Well, the blocking was terrible. What was he supposed to do? But his playoff resume this year was not great. We can look at the Patriots' schedule and say, oh, yeah, he played some good teams, but not great teams. The point being is this whole thing about, okay, that quarterback's a star. We bail on guys too early, but we also anoint them often too quickly. So it's exactly right. It's circumstances, it's maturity, and there's no rule that you can't mature too. Like if J.J. McCarthy in 2 years is a different guy because this year helped him learn, nobody should be surprised.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes. And even with Sam Darnold, maturing within, like he clearly matured from Jets, Panthers, 49ers to, okay, here's your next shot, full season with the Vikings. There was some maturity there, and he puts up 4,000 yards, what have you. And then he, with very little help from his play caller and offensive line, it wasn't just Sam Darnold, but he was terrible in the last 2 games of the 2024 season. Didn't get the help around him as well, like Seattle has given him. And a lot of people, even then, and I'll point at Sports Dad for thinking this too, said, "Wow, I mean this just shows you that this is all he's going to grow. That even if he's figured it out in the regular season, when the biggest games arrive, there's no way that he can get over his seeing ghosts and choking Sam Darnold." It's like there's levels to this. As you get from 15 to 30 career NFL starts to 50 to eventually 100, things slow down more. And back to Thor's point about infrastructure, obviously, if you were to give Sam Darnold a 20th ranked defense and a play caller that spams the pass button more often than he should, and other things,
we're not going to name names.
Exactly.
I love that term. Spams the pass button.
Then you're probably not hoisting a Super Bowl trophy. So it's the emphasis on the quarterback is generally overstated when you look at the big picture. But I'll just my last point on this is Seattle and Sam Darnold deserve so much credit for being great partners together. The Seahawks identified, hey, we can bring him in here. We're gonna do more zone runs than any team in the NFL, which is gonna get our non-elite offensive line feeling comfortable and moving forward and dictating versus constantly being in pass protection. And then we have a quarterback who might have some flaws, but you know what he's really good at? Play action, bootleg, getting outside of the framework of the tackle box and hunting down the field. So let's run the ball. Let's play really good defense and let's lean into the things that he's great at, but not put too much on his plate. And so his strengths were highlighted. The team understood what they had, and it wound up being this perfect marriage. And it's really cool to see him. He seems like a great guy. Finally turning this narrative 180 degrees and winning a championship.
Judd made this point earlier in the playoffs, but what Seattle did when Sam didn't have his fastball, and that kind of being the difference between that coaching, one example of difference between that coaching staff and the coaching staff of the team that Sam came from. But what was it, the first playoff game, Judd, where Sam, there was a little bit of struggles, so you had the modifying of the game plan to try to protect him a little bit. And at the beginning of the Super Bowl, the Seahawks, they were clearly playing the dominant defense. Their special teams looked good. You guys remember there was a couple passes that Sam had where it's like, oh, that was real close to getting picked.
Yes.
Real close. And then so Seattle toggles it even more conservative. And it's like, if we just don't turn the ball over, this thing's kind of over. And then you see Sam, he gets more comfortable. And then you get into the next phase of the game. It was the other way where they missed a couple deep shots by that much that could have been connected. You remember the deep one to Shaheed was one, and then
Sam, Jigba breaking open.
Yeah, because Sam was the one thing you really appreciate, even when he didn't have his fastball in the first half of that game, how he was keeping his head about him when New England had the free rushers. Right? Because Sam at that point, and this goes back to Judd's point, he didn't feel like I have to win this game by myself. Right? If we're going to win the Super Bowl, team effort, right, and I just do my job, but I don't need to win this thing on my own. Sam keeping his head about him, staying calm, cool, collected, making the first guy miss, even if he didn't end up completing the pass on that play, right? Instead of being a negative, and now you're in 2nd and 18. If it's a throwaway, you're in 2nd and 10, or we get a short completion, or a couple times he broke containment there for a short gain. But yeah, just the way that they kind of managed him, it sounds derogatory, but the way that Seattle always puts Sam in the position to succeed, no matter if you get the best Sam, and we saw the best Sam was the NFC title game where he's just wheeling, right? Or in the beginning of the Super Bowl, early on in the playoffs, where he doesn't have his fastball, then the rest of the team kind of steps up until he does again.
Yeah. Football. Okay, just to pull that whole take full circle, I've lost trust in what to look for in quarterback evaluation. Do you guys think there is any chance that Zach Wilson becomes a high-level NFL quarterback at some point? Or is that a bridge too far? Or is he actually a bust?
I think he's actually a bust.
Okay.
And the reason that I think it's different with Sam and him, I actually saw Sam in college his last year at USC. I traveled up to Pullman, Washington on the Palouse in Washington to watch USC play at Wazoo. And that was actually one of the worst games that Sam had in college. But the thing you could tell, big time arm, good athlete, and some of the arm talent, different stuff. He showed more in college than Wilson did. Wilson was a top 3 pick because of a historical anomaly, the worldwide plague. COVID descends, right? And then BYU, all the Power 4 teams dropped off their schedule that year. So they had it was New Mexico State, an FCS team, the very bottom of the rung. That's who Zach Wilson played his last season at BYU to accrue those stupid numbers. We have never seen Zach Wilson beat a good defense. Like we haven't. Whereas at least with Sam in college, there was instances of him slaying some dragons, right? Or playing really good against good defenses. Zach Wilson, it appears, and I said this in the moment, so this isn't a hindsight thing, that he is a mirage. He is a mirage created by a circumstance that is unique to human history. And that's why he's a top 3 pick. And unfortunately, I think that they're going to be, that's a chase now going forward. Because the offense, what they did that year at BYU, I mean, look it up. It was deep drops. It was waiting out 3+ seconds. And then it was him throwing it downtown, like throwing it up for grabs. A lot of similarities kind of with Texas A&M, Johnny Manziel. Only it was against, way worse defenses. Manziel had Mike Evans that year. But that's kind of how Zach Wilson got to where he was. So I don't think he can, but we'll see.
That's fair, yeah. So sorry, Zach Wilson. As the league as the league hunts for the next Sam Darnold's football. Sorry, Zach Wilson.
Maybe Richardson. There's a couple guys, like the guys that have shown some flashes in college, like against like some good defenses, and maybe Zach Wilson. Like maybe this will get played back in my face, but there's a couple guys because the take overall, totally agree with you. But there's a couple guys I would put in that sort of bust hierarchy above him that I'd want to get a look at above Zach Wilson. I think.
Okay. All right. Dex, football.
Yeah. Football. So, in our conversation here of who is developing the right quarterback plan, does anyone even have the right idea how to develop a quarterback? Be prepared now for the next 7 months of a football offseason. I'm not saying this is incorrect either, because 2 teams just showed you why it can work. Be ready for an unhealthy amount of discourse of why defense and running the football wins championships. So both of these teams, and the Patriots and the Seahawks, top 5 defenses in points, top 10 teams in terms of running the football. So the 2 things that sometimes we get lost in the sauce of all right, yeah, we want to have the quarterback with the big arms, the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomes, the big plays down the field. You saw 2 guys and 2 teams, really, 2 teams that said we're going to lean on our defense. We're going to lean on running the football. We're going to lean on having a hell of a good NFL head coach and good draft strategy. And not to say that the most important position can't influence or dictate a long run of the Super Bowl. We've seen basically Mahomes and Brady essentially dominate this for the last 10 to 12 years. But you saw 2 guys, one in his sophomore season with a 4th place schedule, and maybe that was a little bit, again, of a mirage, but you saw them get all the way to the Super Bowl. You saw a Seahawks team that bet on Sam Darnold and had a really good infrastructure around him and said, we don't need you to play Superman, just don't crash our car, buddy. And both these teams got to the Super Bowl, the Seattle Seahawks winning it without the high, flashy type of quarterback. I mean, even if we were, again, to do a ranking of top, 32 quarterbacks in 2026 going into the season, like, as Darnold entered that chat firmly with the Super Bowl win, maybe he's a fringe top 10 guy. But my point is, everything else around the quarterback proved that you can go and win the Super Bowl if everything else obviously works perfectly too, without having the quarterback completely carry you on its back.
I have two responses to this. One is there are now two, in terms of like infrastructure for building in a salary cap league, there are now two definitive paths that are open. One is still rookie scale contract. That's the cheat code if you can make it work, if your quarterback is good enough while young enough and you can spend a bunch of money. Vikings are currently in that bin. We'll see what they do in the next couple of months. But now that you can go and like find the guy on a discount that is a former first round pick, talent wise is that type of dude, and pay him way, way, way less than top quarterbacks are making. That is an open part of the quarterback market that didn't exist like 5 or 6 years ago. My second reply to Declan is I have in front of me a list of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And it is absolutely evidence that you should be very careful just mindlessly shelling out 15 to 20% of your salary cap for comfort at that one position. That one position is the most important, but being comfortable at that position doesn't like guarantee that you have Super Bowl infrastructure. And it has gotten way out of hand what some of these quarterbacks are getting relative to their 53-man roster salary cap. Here's the list. These are the top paid quarterbacks in the league. You tell me how much team success these quarterbacks and teams are having. Dak Prescott, number one. Like, they can barely make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, number two. They have a historically bad defense for multiple years running and a revolving door offensive line.
And they're paying 3 guys.
Yep.
2 wide receivers in Burrow.
Josh Allen, really good Bills team, probably the best team over a 7-year stretch to never have gone to a Super Bowl, but they have never gone to a Super Bowl, paying Josh Allen a lot of money with an eroding roster. Mm-hmm. Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Tua, nowhere near Super Bowls for any of those teams, but congrats, like you're comfortable at your quarterback position. Jared Goff, they've gotten close, but never to a Super Bowl in the Jared Goff era. Brock Purdy just signed the new contract. We'll see how they operate now going forward, building a roster with him making $53 million. Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, competitive teams, never to a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, winner, okay, after the contract was signed. Mm-hmm. Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins. And by the way, Patrick Mahomes is tied with Kirk Cousins on this list for AAV, and it has now caught up to them. Now, I'll still pay Patrick Mahomes and try to figure it out. Don't get me wrong. There's a couple guys on this list. I'll still pay them and figure it out. But for the most part, the NFL has gone way too far in the direction of this is how we win a Super Bowl, regardless of anything else. And they're bad at the figure everything else part.
To Declan's point, though, so the defensive thing is, and the Vikings, by the way, have a very good defense right now. But the defense thing, though, is you can't go into a season saying we are going to have the number 1 ranked Super Bowl. Like, it is, you have to build that thing, right? And I think you should be shooting for top 5. Where I do think that there is a conversation to be had, especially in this town, for the next 7 months, pounding the table is the run game. Because if you look at teams, look at Philadelphia a year ago, run the ball very successfully. Seattle ran the ball very successfully. I think to have the mind of an Arena League coach, which is we're going to go out there and air that sucker out. I think it's counterproductive to winning football in January and February. So, like the defensive thing, yes, build a defense, but you can't be like, we are going to be the number 1. That Seattle defense was phenomenal. I can almost guarantee you it will not be as good in a year because guys get hurt, things change. But philosophically, I do think that there is something to be said for focusing on making sure that your defense is good as it can be, but you have to run the football. Play action. Play action doesn't work if no one respects you. It doesn't. So now you're taking these shots down the field, and it's like, okay, that's cool, but we don't believe you. If I'm not sucking the linebacker up, if I'm not sucking the team up so that they put extra men in the box, guess what? I'm telegraphing my intentions. So I do think that from a standpoint of the run game absolutely necessary, and it cannot be an afterthought, no matter how much some people want to make it that.
I saw a funny tweet last night where it was like, in 10 years, the NFL is going to be 32 offenses that run Sean McVay's offense against 32 defenses that do the Mike McDonald - Jesse Minter defense. It's a copycat league, and as we all know, and everything is kind of cyclical. And you had people chasing for years there the wide open passing offenses, right? And that was the offensive evolution of the NFL. And now we're modernizing it. And now it's going to be 3 receivers every time, and sometimes 4. We're going to motion people around. It's get the ball into space, right? So what did you force defenses to do? Now you have to have more defensive backs out there on the field. You have less down linemen. You have gone the old school off ball linebackers, 250 pounds just downhill, the snot coming out of their nose, the old slobber knocker guys. You made them extinct. Right? Just like the NBA did with 7-foot stiff centers, right? Because of the way that the game had gone. But if you do that, and now the defense has 6 defensive backs out on the field at all times, and now we don't have anyone in the front 7, it's not a front 7 anymore. If now you change your philosophy to attack that, well, what if now we go 2 tight ends, and now we're going to have a sledgehammer of an offense, right? And now we're going to go at these weak front 7s, right? Now all of a sudden you start to go against the weaknesses of defenses as opposed to into their strengths. And what Seattle showed, in addition to the resource that they spent on their defense, you look at both the defense and the offense of Seattle, both of them are capable of winning no matter how the game is played. They have sort of these kind of multiple kind of pieces that they can shift in. Manwari is a good one on the defense. A.J. Barner switching to the 3 wide receiver thing to the fullback with multiple tight ends. The Seahawks will do. They're one of the few teams that will do that as well, the use of the fullback position and multiple tight ends. But no matter how the game goes, Seattle on offense, they can throw with 3 wide receivers for most of the game if they want, right? Or they can go to the 2 tight ends, 1 fullback on offense, just depending on the constitution of the defense that they're facing. And then their defense, no matter if the offense that they're playing is trying to go a more physical run game like they do, or whether it's let's get them out into space, do the air raid kind of passing thing. Seattle has answers for that on both sides of the ball. So you are now going to see teams start to copy Seattle's blueprint. Absolutely 100%.
Yeah. Also, I think like Seattle, Philadelphia, having won a Super Bowl recently despite chaos and have been another one, it's almost a prerequisite now to, especially if you're going to plan on paying a quarterback much money, you have to nail like 4 consecutive drafts. If you look at the Seahawks
as Seattle
starting
did
in 2022 and like their first, second, third round picks are almost all on the nuts for 4 straight years, and guys that are further down on like day 3 as well, Thorpe. And the Eagles did the same thing, just in the trenches especially.
That 2022 draft for Seattle, oh baby.
It's wild. Yeah.
It was either 5 or 6 straight where it's home run, home run, home run, home run. 6 straight times up at bat, you're hitting grand slams. And that was 2022. You compare that with the Vikings 2022 draft class if you want to have some not a fun afternoon. But yeah, every single draft after that, Seattle, at least with their first few picks, absolutely this guy's stepping in and is going to be a big time contributor into the starting lineup. That's how you want to build up a holistic roster, an entire roster with depth. I mean, that's how you do it.
Yeah. More football takes coming here. I'm going to throw it to Thor for some actually breaking college football news over the weekend. But North American Banking Company, the official bank of the O-line committee here on the Score North Network, 6 locations in the Twin Cities. And you can get a better banking experience, whether you're looking for the blocking and the tackling, the checking, the savings, or whether you're planning something bigger like buying a home, tackling a renovation. Maybe you're setting up a new business. North American Banking Company can give you peace of mind about where you bank. I had a question about something last week. I just emailed a real human, like an actual human that I have their email address. So, hey Marissa, can you answer this for me? Instead of having to go through like all the contact me prompts, it's great to have a community bank. nabankco.com/Mackey to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Football.
Thor, NDSU breaking news. It kind of came out 2 days ago, but official, to the Mountain West this year. So they are making the jump to after 10 national titles in the last 2 decades in FCS, moving to the FBS here for the first time. What's your take on that?
Welcome to the FBS, North Dakota State. Long overdue, and I can't wait that they're finally here. NDSU, they end up paying some money to get into the an FBS conference. I think it was $10 million. I think you have to pay $5 million more to jump up into the FBS, something like that. But NDSU is ponying up here, and this is fun because they immediately become the boogeyman in the G5 or the G6 now, as it were. But the Mountain West, you're looking to kind of. They had to rejigger things after Boise State left, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Utah State moved up to the old Pac-12. They're trying to, sort of do that again. So Mountain West had to go and pick some teams up. NDSU is the best one that they could have gotten. We have wanted NDSU in the FBS for years. I initially thought that it was going to be in the MAC, but now the Mountain West is way, way past where the MAC is. The MAC, they're at the bottom with Conference USA. So I'm happy that NDSU has gone to, and we hope that they stay there, right? I mean, again, Boise State has left, San Diego State has left. So Mountain West now is kind of picking up the pieces, but you would expect NDSU to go there and be the bully from day one. And now you open up the possibility of potentially NDSU one day potentially getting a shot in the CFP, right? The top G5 team, the champion, they still have their entrance into the CFP. Last year we got 2. That's a bit of a outlier. We've never seen that before. But one of those 2 G5 teams, little team we call James Madison, that very recently jumped up from the FCS to the FBS. It can be done. We have seen the path to it. Obviously, the previous coach at James Madison was a guy named Kirk Signetti. Now, NDSU, the success goes back longer. They have that history there. But I would expect NDSU to start running the Mountain West real quick. And you have to put them on kind of long-term CFP notice. I don't know if it can happen year one. There's bowl eligibility rules for the teams. You have like kind of a where you have to wait to become the fully eligible FBS member. But just getting into bowl games, if there is a dearth of bowl eligible teams, the NCAA will waive that. They've done it the last couple years. So NDSU, when they become bowl eligible, that first year that they're in the FBS, I would expect them, if nothing else, to get into a bowl because of that dearth. They might have to wait, as far as the eligibility to the CFP. But welcome to the FBS, NDSU. It's good to have you.
I love it. Okay, gun to your head. Who has a better chance to win a national championship first? The Gophers or NDSU?
If it's national championship, I'm going to say the Gophers. If it is who has the better odds to get to the CFP first between these 2 teams, I'm going to take NDSU.
Can the Gophers play them in a non-conference game, home and away, on a yearly basis? Because this sounds to me like it's ripe for a rivalry.
Please. And I now the reason that the Gophers and other teams don't want to do this, of course, is NDSU. Their last you go back last 14 games against FBS teams going back to 2004. NDSU is 9-5 against the FBS. You have wins there, Iowa State, and then the reason that Peach and the Gophers might not want to re-up this thing, they've beaten the Gophers twice since then. But now, since it's not an FCS team, now it is a top-of-the-line G5 program from day one. That is one of the best G5 programs that we have. It's a little bit of a different thing schedule-wise, right? Because you're taking on a team now that could win their conference, is going to put up a big-time record. So it's slightly different than, you lost to an FCS team. But I absolutely, to your point, I absolutely would get that back on the schedule. I think it helps both of the programs. The interest for that game would obviously be very, very high. I understand why the Gophers were reticent when NDSU was in the FCS, but this is one of the reasons you hop up and play on the big stage. If you're NDSU, you might be able to get the Gophers back at the negotiating table now.
Also worth noting that 40% of the Super Bowl winning offensive line from last night, NDSU.
From your lips to God's ears.
In Gray Zabel and Jalen Sundell. So, and Gray Zabel Sundell was, it's a great story. He was undrafted, untimely surgery right around draft time a couple years ago. But he grinds his way back and has become this awesome starting center. And then Gray Zabel was a top 20 pick last year. So
That was a great segment on your show recently with Jeremiah Cereals, where Jeremiah went into the whole Sundell thing for people that want to know, how did the Super Bowl champion just have a starting center that was undrafted? Check out that segment of that show because Jeremiah gets really deep into it. It's pretty fascinating. Sometimes guys absolutely should get drafted, or absolutely should have a better initial opportunity in the NFL. They fall through the cracks for things that are outside of their control a little bit, and a great example is Sundell there.
Yeah. So it's a cool story, and especially for people in the upper Midwest, NDSU to FBS is massive. In our last 5 minutes, I feel like in our discussion right before the show that 50% of the show kind of loved the Super Bowl commercials, and the other 50% thought that they were dumb. And I'm wondering, like, if we could freeze frame and pause this for the audience, which two members of the show enjoyed the Super Bowl commercials last night, and which two hated them? It's probably pretty obvious. There's a line right down the middle here.
The Dunkin' Donuts one I liked.
I actually kind of hated
Goodwill
that
Hunting.
one. Felt like it was just like
Didn't mind that one.
just like a bad AI job, which was 60% of the commercials
Well,
were like either
AI.
advertising
AI.
AI or aggressively using AI.
Which I get. That was exhausting. Like, I didn't like that part. But I thought, as a whole, I enjoyed the commercials this year for the first
did
time
too.
in a long time. I thought the Budweiser one was super cool. I loved the Ben Stiller, Benny Boone Instacart one was hilarious. That was super funny. The Liquid Death was really good. I liked them. I thought that they were honestly really entertaining. I dug even the amazing little trope by Pepsi and Coke with the polar bears and the Coldplay reference in there. We had Kurt Russell Judd and TJ Oshie in a Mick Ultra-like commercial. Come on.
Yeah, I saw that. It was okay.
I have. So you've mentioned a bunch of them. One of them is in my top 5. I have a ranking here. I do have.
Oh, nice.
I do have a power
right.
ranking.
Okay, let's hear it.
Order, if you will,
Okay.
of the top 5 commercials last night. Number 1, I thought Xfinity, with how Jurassic Park would have been better with better internet 30 years ago.
Not bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, right?
Yeah.
They showed
It wasn't
like,
bad.
oh, it's this look at there's a pool and you can take selfies with the dinosaurs because they don't have a power outage because Xfinity, they can keep your home.
All right. Now that's
Judd
not
here
bad.
for Xfinity.
Not
Yeah,
bad,
that one wasn't too bad.
Okay. Number 2, Declan mentioned it, the Coke Polar Bears switching to Pepsi, and I'd be curious to know what the legalities are and the copyright infringement of pulling that ad off.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Pretty good job. Number 3, Bosch Tools with, is it just a guy or is it Guy Fieri? And it was Guy Fieri wearing khakis and without his like trademark hair. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it sort of lost me on that one.
Okay.
First fine.
Number 4, I did like one of the AI ones. Claude AI Collaborator had like 2 or 3 different versions where it's someone talking to like a therapist or a physical trainer, like, whatever, physical trainer guy. And their answers are very AI-like, and then they drift off into an ad. And if you buy this and use the promo code, and it was explaining that, hey, we have an AI tool that isn't like feeding you ads as part of your. I thought that was creative. And then number 5 for me was Liquid IV, the singing toilets. Check
funny.
your pee, and your pee will show you if you're dehydrated, and if you are, you should drink Liquid IV. Those are the top 5 commercials.
What about the one with the Bruce Arians and the tight ends?
I had that as an honorable mention. The tight end
That
prostate test.
one is
commercial.
pretty good, I thought.
Uber Eats, Matthew McConaughey referencing CJ Ham.
Yeah. I am so tired of that campaign, though. That's my problem. That campaign with Bradley Cooper, right?
Yeah.
Football.
The first one was kind of cute, but no,
It was,
they've
but then
gone too far now.
I was sick of the campaign.
Yeah.
I got really tired of it.
Okay. So what's your overall? Are you just bored with Super Bowl commercials? You think that you've been desensitized because of social media, or
Yes,
what's
yes,
your
that's
take?
exactly what I tweeted. It used to be like before TikTok and all of that. It used to be the one time a year where they'd come up with these really weird sort of, oh, that's creative. I feel like you can't impress me.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like this is a symptom of the problem of social media society. You right here, it's okay to think that things are kind of funny or cool. I feel like it's so we have to hate everything. Everything has to be dumb. Everything has if it wasn't like 10 out of 10 funny, then it wasn't worth my time in an algorithm driven world. And
I just think about how much is spent for that and how little impact that has on me now. And I think that was a waste of money.
Yeah, I didn't think that they were as clever this year, and I thought you had a lot of the use of AI. And I'm not one of those guys on Twitter where I'm always replying AI slop, like I'm not a hater, but like there could have been better creativity. I thought like. And, maybe I am like my brain's just too ADHD at this point. It's like, entertain me. Like, I'm not sure. But I felt like in past years, I've been more sort of captivated, more entertained by the commercials. And maybe it was also just the first half of like your eyes are starting to bleed with nothing happening during the football game. And then you go to the commercials and it's
you know what's funny, guys?
I was much more offended by the Patriots offense than the Xfinity Jurassic Park
blender. Yeah.
Seattle's defense was so good. I actually didn't mind the fourth quarter got sort of hanky, but I actually did not mind the first half. I was like, Seattle's putting on a freaking clinic here.
Just free running blitzers.
Everything New England wanted to do. It was
yeah, but I mean, I actually appreciated because Collinsworth was so disgusted. Like Patriots, yeah. It felt, and I kept seeing tweets about it. Right, this game sucks. This game's terrible. Thursday night game. I actually thought Seattle was so impressive defensively. I sort of enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and you know what?
That's just me.
Now that the whole thing is played out, the biggest affront, the thing I'm actually the most offended by is the Buffalo Bills. What the hell are you guys doing? Why are you not playing in that game last night? After watching the slop that the Patriots offense
that's a great. I love it. Bravo. That's a great
It is
point.
more evidence that Sean McDermott had to be fired. Brandon Beane should be fired. The owner should sell the team. How are you in this year of all years? How are you not playing in that Super Bowl last night?
And it's too bad because they. Wow. And you don't know, right? Like if Seattle had played Buffalo in that, we don't know. But Buffalo, they have a trump card offensive player, right? And Drake May might be that someday, right? It's an experiential thing, whatever. But Josh Allen, trump card right now against that defense where you're going to be able to create some stuff. It could have given you the puncher's chance. But that's a great point, Phil.
Would Sean Payton, the Broncos, with Bo Nix, because with Bo Nix, I think that they could have won that game in Denver. Would they have provided a better matchup than the Patriots did?
I do think with Bo Nix, I do think it would have been the first couple of quarters would have been the first three quarters, let's say, a little bit more competitive because even though I don't like Sean Payton as a outside of scheming on the blackboard, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like him as far as like finding different things to attack with defenses and. He knows how to paper cut defenses, even good ones. And so the ability to manufacture offense, the thing with Seattle, when they get to do their offensive game script the whole game and it's in control for them and they don't have to take any chances, they're unbeatable. And so obviously when you got into the second half and New England hadn't scored yet, Seattle, they never got pulled out at all. They could just do what they wanted the whole game. You see what happens. I think Denver could have kept that thing a little bit closer. So maybe at halftime, instead of 9-0, maybe it's 6-3, or maybe it's 9-7, right? Like, and the closer you can stay there, potentially make Seattle take some more chances. That's how we can potentially get them to turn the ball over and stuff like that. But yeah, I do think they would have been a little bit more competitive.
Football.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Oh, it's kind of sad too, because now we have to wait like months and months until there's another meaningful college or NFL football game.
It's only 73 days till round one of the NFL draft, and yeah, combine. We're week
I was
plus.
going to say what
we're getting there.
March is coming. March, it's gifts.
I love
we
the
have entered
off-season.
draft season.
I'm not denigrating my love for this time of year in football. I just like also enjoy watching football games. It's always a little bittersweet today.
No, it's definitely bittersweet. But it will be back, and we got draft season coming up here to roll through. So
we're building. It's time to build, boys.
It is time to build.
Build some rosters. It is officially reckless speculation season in the league.
It's going to be a fun off season.
And we'll be on
it's going to be a fun off season.
For Vikings fans, obviously Thor Talks Purple Daily. But then on Football Takes and O-Line Committee, we've got the league covered at large. So this will be the first time we have space to speculate recklessly on what other teams can do too in the offseason. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't. If you enjoy our Football Takes, the like button on this video, and then over on Apple and Spotify, a 5-star rating and a positive review. For Thor, Judd, Dex, I'm Phil, and these have been our Football Takes for the day. See you guys.